today I'm here with Ali Tedeschi from Homes by Ali. Give us a little introduction. Tell us about yourself. Tell us what you do, and tell us how long you've been doing it.
Sure. So my name is Ali Tedeschi. I'm a professional organizer. My company is Home by Ali, which is actually an acronym for Home Organization Made Easy.
Clever. I like that.
Yeah.
That's clever.
And I try to do just that. I try to make the process of organizing easy for folks. I fully recognize that this is not something that people get excited about. In fact, they usually dread it.
Yeah, do you get that small percentage that's like, I am so excited? Like, I feel like my wife would love this.
Well, so by the time when I first meet folks, they're a little bit overwhelmed. But when we actually get into it, most people are very excited because they really do want to change the environment that they're in and start to create some order and some efficiencies.
Yeah.
But the initial, feeling that you get from people is overwhelm, almost like a paralysis, if you will, because they don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I imagine like they're delving into like a time capsule of stuff that they got to sort through.
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's just, I'm sure some people must get a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, it really depends on the space that you're working in and what sort of belongings that you're working with.
Yeah.
A kitchen, there's a lot less emotional attachment to things.
Yep.
Clothing starts to get into a little bit of an emotional attachment. But when you start to work with, memorabilia and things of that nature, then there's more of a struggle there.
Yep.
It's harder to make decisions. I have to pepper folks with a bit more questions, to kind of help them gain some perspective, but just to help them make thoughtful decisions about what they want to hold on to and what they want to let go of.
Yes, yeah. I'm laughing to myself because this just brought me back to a conversation I had with my wife maybe a year ago. Once a year, we, maybe twice a year, we go through the wardrobe. And she's like...
Well, you're ahead of the curve.
Okay, all right.
You're
she'll
doing
look
good.
at her shirt, she'd be like, when's the last time you wore this? And I'll be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been that long. I don't
You
know.
have an answer.
She's like, okay, we're going to put that in the donut pile.
Exactly.
I'm just laughing.
I know.
'Cause I can only imagine, like, if she wasn't there to do that, like, I'd probably still have everything I've ever had in my closet.
Yeah.
Except stuff that I don't fit into anymore.
Right. Well, the interesting thing that I've actually found is 95% of my clients are women, or the process is initiated by the woman, in any sort of family dynamic.
Yep.
And you really, a lot of times you think of women as being the more emotional person in that relationship, but I tell you, these men, they do not want to get rid of their stuff.
I believe it.
They do not.
I
They're
believe
like,
it.
nope, I like that T-shirt from 1983, and
Yeah.
I'm not getting rid of it.
That's so
Or don't look in that box. That's from high school. That's from college. Nope, I'm not getting rid of it.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so walk me through from somebody contacting to you to like the success at the end.
Sure.
Walk me through the whole thing so people have an understanding of like what does that process really look like.
Absolutely. So it starts off really with a phone call. Someone will give me a call. We will chat for a few minutes about what they are looking to address, very high level. And there's really a couple of different approaches that we can take. One, we can start working immediately. People can book a session with me. I work in 3-hour minimum sessions, so that's like the least amount of time that you can book. And really, I found that 3 hours is the sweet spot in order to get going on a project. Anything less than that, you really can't get any momentum going in less than 3 hours.
Got it.
And then I can go up to 6-7 hours max. With a little break, obviously, because it can get a bit overwhelming. Or the other starting point is a 30-minute video consultation where, if you want to kind of walk me through what it is you want to work on and you want to have an idea of how much time it's going to take and ultimately how much money you're going to spend, I do the consultation. I ask questions, take notes, obviously, and within a couple of days of our consultation, I email out a high-level project outline and estimate. And if involving several spaces within the home, what I do is I break it down into those individual spaces, and I assign a time frame to it. So let's say, I've looked at the kitchen and I think, okay, that's going to take maybe about 4 hours. Just so that folks can have some idea of what to expect. And it's not like, somebody's walked me through their entire home and now here's your bottom line price. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I don't know if I'm ready for that commitment.
Yeah.
They can kind of prioritize by space.
That's a
hey,
great
I want to
idea.
work on this space.
Yeah.
Maybe in a few months I want to work on another space. Whatever they're comfortable with.
What do you find most people, like, is it usually like a whole house right off the bat people are looking for, or is it usually something more specific when they contact you?
It really depends. It really runs the gamut. Folks that are in transition, so say maybe someone's thinking of listing their home for sale, that's going to be more of a whole house approach because we really need to do a thorough decluttering, get the house in tip-top shape for, photos and listing and viewings and everything. Or it may be somebody that's lived in their space for a while and maybe they just have never felt that their kitchen has worked to its optimal efficiency.
Yep.
So, I'll come in and, we'll just work on the kitchen. Inevitably what happens though is that people get this little bug, they get the itch, and now if we've worked on one space, they're like, oh, well, I love the way this looks, or I love the way this functions.
Yes.
Could you take a look at this room in my house, or
Yep.
could you look at this, look at this space or whatever? So
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm
it
going to
can
back it up just a little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay.
Because you talked about something I think is like really important, and I wanted to touch on it a little bit more, is when people are looking to put their homes on the market. Okay? Because I've seen some houses where they've put no thought to it. The agent gave them no direction. All right, maybe they weren't feeling a little intimidated or just not ready to have that conversation. But wow, what a difference it can make when you go into a house that is clean, organized. Okay, what does that do to the person who's looking to purchase the home, right? That helps them envision what their space is going to look like. How functional is this house? When you walk into a home and there's stuff all over like it looks like it's just like it's they're going to outgrow it, right? Or it's just too small, or it doesn't have enough storage, or what have you. And I can imagine, and maybe you could tell me just a little bit more of what a difference it can make for that person who's putting their house on the market when they have somebody come in and help them organize, clean, and stage the house prior to it going live.
Absolutely. It is. I try to impress upon folks how important it is to start before you list your house for so many different reasons. I actually do full presentations on this particular topic.
Good. Get into it then.
Yeah.
I want to hear it all.
So the main thing, obviously, you want to think about when you're going to list your house is a clean line of vision when people walk into your house. So when people walk into your home, it's as if you're having company over. You would clean for company, but it's really important company that's never seen your house before. Maybe it's somebody, somebody famous or royalty, whatever. How do you want to show your house to that person?
That's a great way to look at it.
Do you want them to just ring the doorbell and walk in into your everyday living space? No. You want it to look amazing because ultimately it is a reflection of you, So first and foremost, obviously, cleaning, not that I do cleaning, but cleaning, number one. Fresh coat of paint, maybe carpets. And these are things that a realtor will hopefully.
Keyword. Yes.
Recommend to you based on the condition of the home that you're selling. Where my realm of, knowledge comes in is really in the visual that's immediate. So, for example, clear counters. People think, well, this little cookie jar looks cute, and this little photo of, my nephew or my niece is adorable, and why wouldn't somebody want to see that? Sorry. No, they don't.
They
just don't.
They
so
don't.
all personal affects gone.
Yeah.
And even what I like to call, tchotchkes or dust collectors or little decorative items that we love and they're part of our everyday life. But those things are not suitable when you're going to show a home.
Yeah.
You really want to depersonalize the entire home. And I will tell you, I just went through this process myself a few months ago. The home to you, as the person that lives in it, looks stark, it looks barren, it looks bare, it looks almost cold, if you will. But that's because you're used to it and how you live in it. When somebody else comes into it, that's not how it's going to look to them. It's going to look very visually appealing and clean and uncluttered. What it does is it helps them to picture themselves in that home. If they start to see pictures of your loved ones, they're associating that home with you instead of with themselves. So that's very important. I also really like to touch on optimizing storage space. I get it that the basement is not the showcase, the showcase space when you go to, when a realtor's showing your home.
Yeah.
But if your basement is loaded from floor to ceiling with your stuff, that's really not presenting that space in its optimal light for a potential buyer. They can't see how much space or storage there is available for their stuff. They may end up packing it from floor to ceiling when they get there, but if they can't see that that's available to them, it's hard. It's very hard for people to envision things.
Yes.
It's easy for some people, but really for the majority of people, it is not easy. So you have to make it as easy for them as possible when they're going into that space. So even things like linen closets, fold the towels nicely, fold the sheets nicely, stack them nicely. Don't have things just shoved in there. Clothing, try to get things a little bit in order if you can. Toys, I get it. We all have to kind of live in the space as we're going through that real estate transaction, so it is a little bit hard, especially when you have loved ones. I've been through that process before, multiple pets, multiple kids, different ages. Try to make it as presentable as possible, And where you really start is where I come in. If we walk through that space room by room and address those things that may be visually unappealing, or even just trying to declutter and minimize what you have before you start to pack, because now you're going to pack less. Well, if you're packing less, that means you have less boxes, less pieces. What does that mean? You may reduce your moving costs. You're now also only taking with you what you truly love, need, and use on a regular basis. So now you're going to this new home or new space that you're going to be going into, but you're only bringing the things that you really want. And you're going to now set up that space rather than just lugging everything that you had and throwing it in boxes.
Yep.
You're doing it You're doing it with intention.
Right.
More often than not, I will go into people's homes and we'll end up maybe in the basement, the attic, the garage, and there will be boxes in there still sealed.
From the last move.
From the last move.
Sure thing. Yeah.
Oh, I've been here for 2 years. Oh, I've been here for 6 years. Oh, I've been here for 20 years. And they've never opened the box. I'm like, it's like a mystery. I'm like, well, I guess you didn't love it that much if you never opened it,
Yeah.
But yeah, it has so many benefits for the buyer and the seller.
Yep.
So.
And I think at the end of the day, if you make the home more presentable, the likeliness of you getting a buyer that's willing to pay the top market price, or in this market above, you're going to get that return on investment.
Yeah.
Okay. And if the agent's not comfortable with having a conversation, hey, that's okay. Okay. Sometimes it's best to have it from a third party person.
Yeah.
So if that's ever the case, you should probably call Ali and have her come in, okay, and let her tell the sellers what maybe you don't want to tell them because they're not going to like you for it. That's okay, because sometimes they need to hear it. Yeah, but they need to hear it sometimes, right?
They do.
Because these are really important points.
Yeah.
And it can have an effect on the marketability and what you end up getting for an offer on that home. And you want the most for your home, so
absolutely,
this is your one shot.
Yeah.
Do it right. Do it from the beginning the right way, and carry it through, and you will see the positive results from it.
Absolutely. And that's what I say to folks. I'm like, ultimately, you're trying to get the most amount of money on the sale of your home. And there may be that initial upfront expense of hiring someone in my profession to help you with this. But if you end up getting more on the sale of that house, reducing your moving costs, you're going to end up on the plus side of things. You really are.
Yeah. And I feel like for people it's hard to to see that sometimes.
It is.
But you gotta trust it.
Yeah.
You gotta trust it.
Yeah.
Okay. It's proven. So
Yeah, exactly.
a couple more things I want to touch on.
Yeah.
What is your target demographic? Like, who is it that that you want to call you, and how can we connect you to that person?
Sure. Well, number one, it has to be someone that is ready to make some changes. I have had folks reach out where they think they are, and then we get into a work session, and they really can't make any decisions, and they're not willing to let go of certain things. Now, I'm not there to coerce people into getting rid of the things that they love, but you have to be realistic about the amount of things you own in direct proportion to the amount of space that you have for it to remain in your home. So I really want to work with folks that are ready to make some changes. And they don't have to be drastic. Sometimes they're just minimal tweaks to create some efficiencies. But really, my target audience it ranges vastly, to be quite honest, because it really spans from all different periods in a person's lifetime. It's folks maybe that are coming together to join households. Maybe they each had their own apartment. Maybe it's a mixed family. Now they're coming together in a relationship, and they've each had their own home established. People that have just had children, and now they're overwhelmed by baby stuff. We know, like, baby stuff can take over an entire house, let's face it.
It sure can.
As the kids get older, it's toys. We're transitioning out of toys at different age levels. Clothing, you're blowing through clothing sizes. People that are possibly downsizing that are now empty nesters. And then even seniors in transition, that are moving maybe from their home to a senior community. So I feel it's hard for me to put a specific target or explain a specific target audience, because it really does range. And I really do. I have folks that have called me that have just moved into their first apartment and they want some help. And then I have seniors that are like, well, I'm ready to get rid of my home now and move into, maybe an assisted living community. So it really does, it ranges.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. All right. My last question here. What are some of your biggest struggles that you are facing in your industry thus far?
The biggest struggle, I don't know. I would say marketing in general for me, like as a small business owner. But in my industry, well, first of all, there's a lot of us now, because America.
Really? Because I haven't.
Oh, there's a lot of us out there, and it really just depends on how much.
I haven't seen that many.
It really depends. If you even just look at it in Rhode Island, it's astounding. But I think the visibility is dependent upon how much that person networks. I network a lot. I try to do, I do presentations for libraries, different networking groups, things like, things of that nature. But really the biggest struggle, in all honesty, and I'm actually going to put myself out of business saying this, is that folks have so much stuff. I am astounded just at the amount of belongings that people have, because as an American society, it's really an American society thing. We are obsessed with stuff. The average American home has over 300,000 items in it. When I learned that statistic, I was like, I'm blown away. That's not even true. I can't even count that high. But when I go into people's homes, it's amazing. And I'm not saying you have to be a minimalist. And even that, unfortunately, that label has gotten a bad rep. It's not about one fork, one knife, one spoon, one plate. It's not that. It's just about having what you need to live comfortably and happily. So maybe you don't need 7 pie servers. Maybe you only need 2. Maybe you do like to entertain. Maybe you want 2 or 3. But when people really start to delve into their stuff, they actually are also surprised at how much they have, even of maybe one particular item. You know, and it's I get it. It happens over time. It's not something that happens overnight. If you've been in a home for a long time, and what happens is maybe something gets moved or misplaced or put in a different area, and you forget that you have it. So you go and buy it again. And it's only when I start to work with people that we unearth these things. And now we're going, in different spaces and we're like bringing them all together to really see what is there. And you're like, wow, okay, I didn't realize I had 17 pairs of jeans. Okay, let's talk about that, And maybe you're a jean person and you're going to hold on to every single one, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But maybe there's something else that can be addressed.
Yeah, yeah. And that makes me think, like, how much, you said, pie servers, right?
Yeah.
And you can't find one, so what do? You go buy another one, right?
Yep.
So I wonder if people take the approach that, well, I know where my pie server is. I don't need to go buy another one like I have before, right? So moving forward, being more organized means I'm also going to save a little bit.
Yeah, it is really key that everything in your home has a place to actually live.
Yeah.
Everything has its own spot. Does it need to be within immediate reach? No, but the things you use every single day should be.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, if you know what you have, that's the key. It's going to save you money.
Yeah.
But it's also going to save you time because you're going to know where that is.
You don't need to go to the store to go buy another one.
Exactly. You can
Yeah.
easily retrieve it.
Yeah.
And even if you do have a lot of stuff, like even memorabilia, I get it. You want to hold on to that. But it should be stored with intention, so that you know where it is, in a bin, labeled, so,
Yep.
So if you do want to go find it and take a look at it, reminisce, you know where to go. You're not trying to dig through piles of stuff. So
makes great sense.
Time and money. Being organized is all about time and money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Again, Robert Souza, Milestone Mortgage Solutions, Ali Tedeschi, Homes by Ali. Thank you so much for joining me and telling us about your business today.
My pleasure.
Okay.
I love talking organizing.
Thanks so much.